We started dying before the snow, and all like the snow, we continued to fall. This is a quote from Louise Erdrich, a notable author who writes about her Native American heritage. The Native Americans in the book Tracks face many troubles because of changes to their land due to harvesting of natural resources, and, as described in this quote, disease has killed many of the members of the Ojibwa tribe. Louise Erdrich, in her 1988 novel Tracks, accurately depicts the struggles of Native Americans during white colonialization with themes like unreliable narrators, feminism, eco-criticism, Western and Native beliefs and culture, and community in the home. The first theme that many scholars note is the unreliable narrators in this book. The readers are essentially forced to decide what is true and false by listening to two contradicting stories. Through the alternating narratives of Nanapush and Pauline, the novel describes the effect of the loss of land to the Native American people. Erdrich's narrative techniques have interested many scholars. The multiple narratives defy the reader's attempt to, quote, synthesize the work into a coherent whole, thus compelling the reader to accept differing points of view, and suggests that they make the reader assume a more active role in solving conflicts, but that they are also solvable, end quote. In addition, feminism is also a common theme found in the book Tracks. The contrasting characteristics of Fleur and Pauline demonstrate the ideal woman traits compared to those which were current at the time the book was written. Fleur is a more masculine and daring woman who plays poker with the men, provides for herself, works the situation in her favor, and is comfortable exhibiting more strong emotions such as anger and attempts to seek revenge. Pauline, however, is an unreliable narrator who suffers from fits of emotion and frequent hallucination. She has been described by critics as, quote, foolishly lustful, end quote, and lies in order to gain a false sense of power. Her strict religious beliefs make these hallucinations worse, as she tends to see the statue of St. Mary shed tears. Also, one day paddling on the lake, Pauline unfortunately wrecked her boat. However, when her lover Napoleon found her and attempted to save her, she mistook him for the lake monster and choked him to death with his rosary beads to rid all evil. Tracks has a feminine and inclusive worldview that connects the past to the present and defies traditional gender roles. Some men discussed in the novel are described as mothers, for example. Characters as Pauline, however, are unable to fit into their gender roles, but this causes her internal conflict. Another theme found in the book Tracks is eco-criticism. Eco-criticism is the study of literature and the environment from where literature scholars analyze the texts that illustrate environmental concerns and examine the various ways literature treats the subject of nature. Mostly, this focuses on the threats or dangers of nature. In Tracks, nature is a force and not just a background. Fleur is somehow able to control, change, and use nature in this story. An example of this is when she lost a poker tournament and she caused a tornado, killing all the poker players. There are 3 quotes that describe eco-criticism in this book. Quote, some were glad Fleur had come back because we didn't like how she did this. She kept the lake thing controlled, end quote. This lake thing is referring to the lake monster, Mishepshu, whom had a really close relationship with Fleur. Another quote, but she also disturbed the area around Michimato. Those woods were a lonely place full of ghosts of the drowned and those whose death took them unaware, end quote. And finally, after the whites started taking away some of the lumber in the land, Pauline's thoughts about the land surrounding them had changed. It describes this quote, there was a devil in the land, a shadow in the water, end quote. The next and most common theme in the book Tracks is Western and Native beliefs and culture. Tracks shows the struggle Native Americans had with keeping their values while evolving into the Western world that threatened them. Research on the origins of Erdrich's work has focused primarily on the relationship to Native American mythology and has yielded a great many comparisons. Discussions of these mythological origins generally includes the variety of names that refer to the Native American groups to which Erdrich belongs to. She also uses oral tradition in her writing, which is significant in Native American culture. The trickster character is by far the most frequently discussed mythological aspect of this novel. The trickster is variously described as a joker and a healer, one who has the ability to change shape and to come back to life after death. He has a large appetite for both sex and food. While he is not seen as a pillar of society, he is considered a champion of the people, and in some mythology, he is responsible for having brought fire to man. He challenges the gods. Christian beliefs figure in this novel as well. Several essays discuss the tension between Ojibwa and Christian mythology. In discussing Erdrich's portrayal of the tormented and tormenting Pauline, Pauline's psychological imbalance is related to her confusion of these two sets of beliefs. Pauline imagines herself as a Christian saint, yet commits heinous crimes. She believes in both Satan and the Ojibwa lake monster Mishepshu. Mishepshu is the mythological lake monster that is mostly associated with Fleur, on the grounds that both of them represent the Native Americans' resistance to colonial power. Fleur is an ambiguous character. Although she is an outcast, she, as a trickster, epitomizes Native American culture. She successfully gambles for the life of her daughter in a dreamlike magical scene. Fleur is still an outcast in her community, which is succumbing to the white culture. Although most of the local inhabitants gradually accept the Western way of life, Fleur remains loyal to her land and her native identity, and thus becomes an outcast, turning into, quote, an actual monster, the evil, end quote. The last theme in Louise Erdrich's book Tracks is community in the home. The notion of home informs the structures of our landscape, patterns of consumption, lifespan distinctions, that is, childhood, adolescence, adulthood, and old age, and gender divisions. Recent writers have considered the inviolability of home, of its protection from physical and emotional intrusions. Others have explored the importance of relationships, emphasizing that being that loved one is the way of being at home. According to author Jill Jepson, Tracks is a novel entirely haunted by dispossession, in which the characters experience dislocation from their heritage, their environment, and themselves. Character ties to other characters play fundamental roles in the determination of what is and what is not home. Throughout the novel, home is shown through bonds of affection and mutual support and community cooperation and harmony. Displacement of the home is shown through betrayal, discord, and destruction of community bonds. In addition, bodily safety or shelter, nourishment and leisure, privacy and rest are all very key in fitting into an environment and creating healthy bonds with others. In Tracks, home is closely tied to the corporal existence of the characters. Homing is associated with bodily health, sexual energy, physical strength and vigor, while displacement is manifested through physical weakness, pain, and suffering. The loss of community solidarity lies at the heart of Tracks. White lumber interests cause loss of land, and disease generates, causing many to relocate and fragment. The beginning of the novel starts with Nanapush, Fleur, and Pauline all losing their families. Fueled by hunger and despair, quarrels break out on the reservation, and as white financial interests encroach upon their land, the Anishinaabe families fight about whether the land should be sold or kept. Gossip runs throughout the tribe of Fleur's strangeness, unnatural independence, and rumored use of magic. Stories go around about how she messes with the evil, that she laid the heart of an owl on her tongue to enable her to see at night, and that she hunts in the form of a bear. When a tornado destroys the town of Argus the day that Fleur is raped there, Nanapush and Pauline believed it was her doing. When Eli falls in love with Fleur, his mother is certain she practiced magic on him. Fleur is perceived by many on the reservation as dangerous, untrustworthy, and most significantly, as someone who doesn't belong there. Unfortunately, all of this changes once Fleur discovers she will lose her land. Rumors about her surface again. She is blamed for Napoleon's murder. It is said that she carries the dead man's tongue with her, and that it enables her to walk without leaving tracks. Most significantly, she sends the daughter she loves and once doted onto a government boarding school, and at the end of the novel leaves the reservation. The loss of community, the end of Fleur's relationship with Eli, the breaking apart of the cobbled-together clan, the negative perception of Fleur on other tribal members, and the severing of Fleur's ties with her daughter is closely intertwined with the loss of her home. In conclusion, Louise Erdrich uses many themes in her books to closely and accurately discuss her Native American heritage. In her book Tracks, Unreliable Narrators, Feminism, Eco-Criticism, Western and Native Beliefs and Culture, and the Community and Home are themes that are used to describe the Ojibwe tribe during Western colonialization between 1914 and 1924.